hello. Hello again. We're at the studio tonight. It's a Monday evening. So that's kind of how I work. I usually work during the day at a regular day job, and then I come to the studio almost every night and do the work here where it's nice and quiet. So I thought I'd give you a couple sneak previews of what's going on. Tonight, I actually laid this surface. This is a Venetian plaster, and it's a gray, kind of a green-gray color. And I pulled it over this bright red pigment, which you can see here is on the canvas. And this is a wet spot, so this canvas is still drying. Actually, it's a panel. I shouldn't say canvas. And I did this pour actually on Saturday, so this has been 2 days on a table. And a lot of times I'll let it sit on a table so it sets down nice and even and really gets some good adhesion. And then I'll let it dry up on the wall. But by laying it on the table, it traps some of the moisture and the evaporation from the panel, and it takes a little longer to dry. But that's the process that's going on. This here is got 2 coats, and it isn't burnished yet, just lightly. And you can start to see it's drying, and the colorations are starting to come out, that marble texture that we really love with Venetian plaster. So I kind of give you a close-up. And then I got a little surprise for you on a step that I call steeping. And I'll go through that process in a moment. But here's a close-up of what I did tonight. And as it dries, there'll be more marbling, and then it'll get kind of chalky, and I'll have to burnish with a knife, and that's where you push hard on it or do a sanding. Over here, is another process. Now, this piece on the wall back over here, on the gray wall, is kind of what I'm doing here, a little bit different. And this process here, which I'll zoom in for you a little bit here, make some adjustments on the camera so you can see. So this process here is a steeping process. And I've used a rust solution. It's a special formula that we make, vinegar and steel wool. And then what I've done is I've poured a wet plaster, and you can see that it had some purple paint underneath. It was just a board that I used, and I used a plain plaster of Paris with a wood pulp mix, no color, no pigment, so it's going to be mostly white. And then while it was wet and thick, and I didn't this time grind the wood pulp, I kept it very fluffy. And then I pushed it down onto pressed it down onto the panel. And then what I did is I put some feathers in a pattern, and then I soaked these shop towels, you know, those blue shop towels. They're paper, and they really last a long time. And I've used them many times over, and I save them until they fall apart. And then basically soaked them in the rust solution and then laid them wet over the feathers that are in there. Now you can do this with other items. They act kind of like a resist. I like the feathers because they're semi-permeable, and some of the solution will soak through. The feathers will push down into it. You can use leaves and sticks, strings, any sort of thing that you want to, kind of press into the wet plaster. Now this is all wet, so this is a fresco process. And now I'll have to let this sit for maybe a day or two even. We had some heat today, so a little bit of humidity here in the studio, but I have a dehumidifier running 24/7. And depending on it, I'll have to steep probably for a period of 24 to 48 hours. So I can set this process up, let it do its thing, and then I'll come back into the studio tomorrow night, and I'll pull it out, pull it up, and see if I've got the color that I want. And if I want a little more color, I might add a little bit more rust solution, maybe even drizzle a little Sumi ink over these shop towels, and that will soak through. Maybe I'll spray and wet it a little bit more and let it steep some more. Kind of like making tea, if you want stronger tea and a stronger stain, you just work it that way. But it's a time-based thing, and it's kind of fun to do if you don't have a lot of time and you've got little bits of time over a week, because you can set this up very quick, set it and forget it, walk away and let all of the prep do the work for you. And then you can do the reveal. Now that will be when I remove these paper towels gently, and I'll do a video of that. I've got another earlier video you can look up on our channel where I've done a reveal in an earlier stage process that I was using. But this is kind of the teaser for the class and the workshop we're setting up. So I'm doing some experiments to see what works in a very fast and easy method, so people can have some fun, because it's labor intensive. But, in a workshop, you want to have a little bit of fun while you're going through the journey. So again, another night in the studio. I thank you so much for supporting our channel. If you like what you're watching, push the thumbs up, subscribe, and then the notification bell, and you'll get further updates when we post new videos. I have gotten several requests and responses from the last video, and I thank you very much for them. Keep them coming. The class we're trying to work out right now looks like maybe the first week in November, on the Veterans Day. And I think what we're going to do, instead of a weekly class now, for the first go around, is we're going to do a 3-day workshop. So it'll be a full 3 days, like a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, over that weekend, so we can spend some good time together. And we always have good time in our workshops and eat good food and share a lot of information back and forth. So I think that's what we're going to prep up the first couple of go-arounds, because this is a process that I'll learn to economize and get more efficient over time. But I know on a 3-day workshop, no problem. We'll have a lot of fun. Anyway, I hope to see you then. Stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. You all have a great evening, and remember, you win when you go to the studio. There's no failure, because you're in the studio, and practice makes perfect. So we'll see you next time. You have a good evening now. Bye.